മലയാളത്തിലെ
40 പേരായി.
സാറെ കേൾക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ലേ?
കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. എൽജി സാറേ, സാറിന്റെ മുഖം കുറച്ചുകൂടി നേരെ കാണട്ടെ. പിന്നെ ഏതാണ്ട് ഒരു 200 പാർട്ടിസിപ്പൻസ് ഉണ്ടാകും. അൽകുമാർ സാറിനെ ഞാൻ വിളിച്ചിരുന്നു എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. പിന്നെ മറ്റു രണ്ടുപേരും കയറും.
വർഗീസ് അച്ഛനെയും ജോർജ് അച്ഛനെയും നേരിട്ട് കണ്ട് പറയുകയും വീണ്ടും റിമൈൻഡ് ചെയ്യുകയും ചെയ്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. സാറിനോടും പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞാനിവിടെ കോളേജിലുണ്ട്, നിങ്ങളുടെ കൂട്ടത്തിലുണ്ട്.
ഓക്കെ.
പൂവുകൾ പുൽകിയ പുൽപ്പള്ളി മണ്ണിൻ നെറുകയിൽ ആരവം താളമോടിന്നൊഴുകിയെത്തിയൊരാലയം വീരപഴശ്ശി വാണമണ്ണിൽ കബനി തഴുകുമുരങ്കണം പഴശ്ശിരാജ 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 പഴശ്ശിരാജ. വിദ്യതൻ കൽവിളക്കിനു തിരികൊളുത്തിയ പൂർവികർ നന്മകൾ പടികൾ കയറാൻ യുവതൻ പുതുനാമ്പുകൾ പഴമയോടെ പുതുമയോടെ സകല കലയുടെ ആലയം പഴശ്ശിരാജ 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 പഴശ്ശിരാജ. ഭൂവിലെ ജ്ഞാനദീക്ഷുറവിടം ഇതു പഴശ്ശിതൻ ശൗര്യം പുലരും പുതുമതൻ യുവതാരകൾ.
My dear students, welcome to this online seminar on trends in aviation, a post-COVID perspective. Before beginning on this program, I request all the participants to mute your system. preferably both audio and video. This is very well required for better connectivity throughout the program. So first of all, let me briefly introduce to you our guest speaker, Mr. Rajesh Kurian. Our Vice Principal, Dr. Dilip, will introduce in detail about the topic as well as the guest speaker before beginning that session. So he graduated with tourism degree from our college, and it is proud that he is part of our rich alumni. And he got his master's degree in tourism from Madura Kamaraj University. Some of his significant position, just brief. One is he is an subject expert in airport ground handling, and he currently is operational trainer position. He's holding operational trainer position of National Aviation Services (NAS), and he is a well-known designer and development of various courses for IATA, International Air Transport Association. We are welcoming Mr. Rajesh Kurian with a big round of applause from the bottom of our heart. And our topic of the seminar, Trends in Aviation, a Post-COVID Perspective, is highly relevant and need of the hour. Until this COVID-19 pandemic, aviation was one of the integral part of the travel, both domestic and international. As per Civil Aviation Organization report, ICAO, it's a UN body actually, they have released a report in 2017-18. It says a total of 4 billion people, 4 billion people traveled worldwide in the year 2017-18. Just imagine this account, this 4 billion accounts, actually 60% of the total population of the world. And altogether we have a population of 6 billion and 6+ billion. So almost 4 billion people travel worldwide in the year 2017-18. Just imagine the importance of aviation sector. And India, of course, India in particular had also experienced a double-digit growth during this period, like 2017-18 and the early beginning of 2019. The aviation industry had made its space clear to any development of any country. It's considered as a catalyst or a contributor or enabler for determining the development of any country. So this coronavirus pandemic has brought aviation to a standstill position. Of course, travel bans and restrictions are much required under current circumstances that we know. It's almost more than it's identified this coronavirus early 2019. It's more than 6 months now. So it seems that all the social and economic fallout of the travel restriction is beyond our words. Another difficult part is that the air transport, which carried millions around the world. I hope you are audible, no? Somebody
yes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, another part is that which, as I told you, 4 billion people traveled across the world in 2000 and just before this COVID-19 pandemic. So and other sad part is that which carried this much millions of people has been accused of spreading the virus worldwide. And countries across the globe had to shut down international flights to arrest the spread of COVID-19. Subsequently, in each country, they shut down their domestic flights as well. So almost all the countries had to make a difficult choice between the health safety of the people and their economy. So majority of the countries, and almost all the developed countries we are having on airline, they have prioritized community health and grounded their airlines completely. Few countries have allowed their air network to remain operational for economic consideration. But if you consider both ways in terms of revenue stream, the results are not encouraging at all. The social distancing and health security in air travel will be a guiding factor in the air transportation in the coming future, of course. Due to this, the way we travel never be the same. The concept of air travel will have to undergo a sea of change, a drastic change before we can start commercial flights. And I know that I don't want you to wait for long, as all of you are waiting for the excellent session from Mr. Rajesh Kurian. So let me finish by saying one more point. As far as the aviation industry, I mean tourism aviation is concerned, I think the willingness of the air travelers during this hard time remains an important question, whether they are willing to travel as far as tourism aviation is concerned. The pace of revival of the industry post COVID-19 pandemic will therefore depend entirely on the confidence building measures by the stakeholders and also the adaptability of the air travelers to this new normal. So it seems I personally feel a lot of effort we have to take before we take to the skies again. So to begin with this program, let me call Professor Shelji Matthew, convener of the program, for official welcome. Shelji sir, please.
Thank you, sir. Very good morning, one and all. In this 21st century, the word aviation is taken as a synonym for transportation. Global aviation industry is allied with the manufacturing and the service of all types of air and correlated provisions during transportation. According to the statistics World Bank Organization in 2018, around 4.2 billion passengers were carried across the globe. Factors that were driving the aviation industry before the COVID-19 pandemic encompasses the introduction of low-fare airlines, increasing global economic activities, new travel trends, and many more. Moreover, replacement of aging commercial aircraft has also contributed significantly to the market growth. The major factors affecting the aviation industry after the pandemic include the decline in tours and travels as a larger number of international as well as domestic flights are getting cancelled all across the globe to restrain the transmission of the virus. The government all across the globe are cancelling the visa of foreign people and are looking down affected area, which is also one of the main reasons behind the downturn of the aviation industry. In this point in time, Department of Tourism, Pazhassiraja College, Pulpally, organizing a one-day national webinar on the trends in aviation, a post-COVID perspective. I deem it a pleasure to welcome the distinguished participants who are joined from different parts of the globe. I extend a warm welcome to our dynamic principal, Dr. Anil Kumar, who inaugurates this webinar. With immense pleasure, I extend a warm welcome to our eminent chief guest, Mr. Ajesh Kurian, Senior Trainer, National Aviation Services, Kuwait International Airport, who is magnanimous enough to furnish the keynote address on this session. Hearty welcome you, sir. I have the great pleasure to welcome our vibrant Vice Principal and IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Dilip Emmar, who is introducing the topic of this conference. I extend our hearty welcome to our CEO, Reverend Father Varghese Kollavadi, who is facilitating on this function. Also, I extend our sincere welcome to our Bursar, George Alimutal, who is facilitating on this function. I extend esteemed welcome to my beloved colleague, Mr. Sanu Kumar PV, who is moderator of this session. Welcome, sir. I delighted to welcome all the eminent scholars and the students who have gathered here. Once again, I welcome to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we invite our Honorable Principal, Dr. Anil Kumar, to inaugurate the function.
Okay. Good morning, all of you. Most respected CEO of our college, Father Varghese Kollavadi, and Bursar, Father George Alimutal, the distinguished chief guest of today's webinar, Sri Ajesh Kurian, respected teachers from various departments, head of the Department of Travel and Tourism, Shelji Matthew, Dr. Dilip Emmar, Sri Sanu Kumar, other heads of department, teachers of our college, dear participants, friends, it gives me pleasure to inaugurate this function because today's webinar is going to be handled by Ajesh Kurian, who is an alumni of this college, and we are very proud that he is now the senior trainer Kuwait International Airport in the travel and in the aviation sector. And the topic of discussion is trends in aviation in the post-COVID perspective. I'm not going much in detail about this topic because the others have mentioned all those aspects, but still, all of us know that this in this COVID scenario or COVID pandemic has vastly affected most of the sectors where travel and tourism industry is one of the major industries which has its which is affected very vastly because the travel, the hotel industry, everywhere we can see a very big fall in the business, and we have to overcome the situation by suggesting suitable measures because tourism is one of the world's largest industries in the world, one of the largest industries. As such, the income from tourism industry is the basic thing for almost all the country for their development. In that way, this seminar, today's webinar is very important, and we are also very proud that our alumni has come forward to engage in this session. Mr. Ajesh Kurian, I welcome you personally, as well as once again welcome you on behalf of our college, for the management or for the department to this seminar. And I'm not adding much, and this is time for discussions and presentation. I wish all success to the seminar, and I also declare the seminar open. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It's time for some blessing words from our CEO, Most Reverend Father Varghese Kalamaudi. Father, please.
Thank you. A warm good morning to all. Respected Principal Dr. Anil Kumar sir, Chief Guest of the day, Mr. Ajesh Kurian, our alumni, respected Vice Principal of our college, Dr. Dilip, Head of the Department, Shelji sir, Sanup sir, Reverend Father George, and all the teachers and students and all the dignitaries around the world. Actually, I don't want to misuse the valuable time by saying a lot of things, but a word of appreciation to the department that they have chosen a very relevant topic, that is aviation management and in the post corona period. So actually, the field of aviation gives a lot of opportunities to the world, both in tourism sector and as well as in the both in the economic sector, business sector also. But now we are in difficulty because of the lockdown and other difficulties. Even then, this sector will have a great prominent economic opportunities will provide. And the topic with the tourism department, tourism students, this will give them more opportunities to learn and of course for their future career. So I appreciate the travel and tourism department of our college from the bottom of my heart. And also, I'm also happy that one of our alumni is handling this session. And it is happy to hear that he has covered heights in the field of aviation. I congratulate Mr. Ajesh Kurian that you have done a great success in your career with aviation department and aviation management. And once again, I congratulate all of you for the great venture you are doing with this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Now I invite Father George Alimutil, Bursar of the college, for some blessing words. I think Father is online. Sir, please unmute your system. It's mute. Okay.
Respected Principal Dr. Anil Kumar Sir, respected Father Varghese, respected distinguished guest Rajesh Kulian, Dilip Sir, congratulate this seminar help us to think about the present crisis, COVID situation in the world, and how to overcome this situation in a better ways. And once again, I congratulate the leaders who take initiative to conduct this seminar, such as Dr. Shilji Sir, Dilip Sir, and Sanu Sir, and other faculty members. And I wish you all the best for this seminar on behalf of management. And my prayers, may God bless you all. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you all.
Thank you, Father. And we just wind up this inaugural session. We'll move on to the main session. Before beginning the session by Mr. Rajesh Kurian, let me invite Dr. Dilip, Vice Principal of the college, IKC Coordinator of the college, to introduce about the topic, as well as Mr. Rajesh Kurian. And I would preferably say an academician rather than saying a Vice Principal. So Dr. Dilip, please.
Yeah, thank you, Sri Sanu. Once again, I would like to welcome each and every one of you. In fact, our technology support is provided by the Mass Communication Department. Welcome to that department as well. Then, before going into the details, let me start with the significance of aviation and what are the transformation that is happening in the industry over the years. As already introduced by Sanoop sir, this industry has become one of the largest industries in the world, and the magnitude of industry has been told by Sanoop sir, that almost 4.1 billion. That is the latest, measurement number statistics as far as passengers are concerned. 4.1 billion consumers are there per year, or 4 billion consumers, 400 crores. So that's a huge, that shows the magnitude of the sector. And if you see the history of aviation, we can understand that all other forms of transport, whether it is railways or road transportation or water transportation, that has a very long history, in the sense that has been there for so many centuries. But this aviation industry started just a century ago. It was in 1903 when at Kitty Hawk and at North Carolina, the Wright brothers had the first experimental flight. And from then onwards, what has been experiencing actually, this sector had been having tremendous dynamism in this sector. Plenty of things have happened, lot of advancements, and within 100 years of time, it has become a huge, the most significant form of transport. And when we talk about tourism, but it's not because it has certain technically, certain kind of definition we need to give. An industry should have some kind of, what we call it, similar things that should be provided, like, product should be similar, similar kind of units have to be there. But as far as tourism is concerned, it is not similar thing, it's completely diverse. It's an amalgam of industries. So that in that amalgam of industries, air transport is essentially the most important one. And that's why we give a lot of significance for air transportation in the tourism. And tourism should be called as an economic sector or whatever. It's a sector, in fact. And in this sector, different industries are there. One of the industries is air transport. Inside air transport itself, plenty of things are there, like, airlines are there, airports are there, air navigation services are there. So many different aircraft manufacturers are there, engine manufacturers are there. So these kind of differences are there, even inside the industry. So currently, you know the history from the very humble beginning. It has become one of the largest industries in the world. Right now, almost 4,300 airlines are there in the world, with having almost 3,000 airports, and its economic contribution is almost 2.7 trillion. The trillion doesn't have any even Indian kind of translation now. How much is trillion? So that much of economic significance is there from the side of air transport. And it is contributing almost 3% of the global GDP. So that shows the magnitude of the sector and the significance of sector in the international economic paradigm. Another significant change what is happening is that once upon a time, air transport was limited to very rich people, aristocratic people, those who are having the capability to travel. But now we know that more sections of the society, they have become capable to travel. And there is a paradigm shift we can observe in the case of air transportation from the west to east. Once upon a time, air transportation was a predominant factor in the Western countries, particularly in the Europe and America, along with Australia and New Zealand and these sort of countries. But if you see the recent history of air transportation, that is what is the shift what we are observing, is there is a shift from Western region to Eastern region, where the emerging markets in the Asian countries like India, China, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, and all these countries, including Malaysia, Japan, and all, they are having significant, growth in transportation, and their contribution in the world, in the growth of the international air transport sector is so immense. So that is a kind of, transformation we are observing, we are seeing. Then this shift has so much of significance as far as the prediction of IATA is concerned, that is done almost 5 years back. What they're saying, maybe in another 20 years of time, East will be dominating. I mean, it will be having more than 50% of share in the international transport sector, whereas the West will be having less than significant. The reason is the Western countries are almost stagnation, facing the stagnation in the case of air transport. Whereas East, the middle class is getting economic importance, and they are improving day by day in terms of economic standards, and definitely this will be contributing greatly in the rise of air transport in the world. Then another significant, apart from the Asian countries, even some other countries like Brazil and all, they are also increasing. So what we can say, that there is an emerging markets and developing economies altogether is having huge, immense growth, remarkable and incredible growth in terms of aviation, and that is very significant as far as air transport is concerned. Another trend, what I observe is there is a lot of technological integration happening in the case of air transport. When we study tourism, air transport, how they handle ticketing and all, once upon a time, where they had a huge chart on a wall, they marked all the kind of bookings in the particular chart, in the number of seats and all. It was a manual system. By 1950, things have started changing when American Airlines chief executive officer had a talk with a Microsoft engineer on a particular air trip, and that made the whole thing change. And air transport was having the first computer reservation system that is considered to be a transaction processing system as far as an MIS is concerned. And there was the first MIS in the world, and they started utilizing for the operations, and particularly they utilized for the handling of bookings and transactions. And later they converted into it as an essential part of the air transport as well as travel distribution system. Now the GDS is inevitable as far as air travel industry is concerned. So GDS is only one part. If you see the whole, once upon a time we had ticket of having different types of coupons inside, but now we need to have only a number to travel. We need not to carry any ticket with us. So that is the kind of transformation happening. Paperless ticket is happening. Then a lot of other technology, customer experience is getting enhanced by this one. and you can book your ticket from any place at any point of time. So many things are happening, and their complete pricing strategy has been dominated by the information technology. So plenty of things are happening where technology, even artificial intelligence, robotics, as well as virtual reality has come into play. That is completely transforming the operations of air transportation as well, including the passenger experience. So overall traveler experience is going to be changed, which is going to be a significant part in the touristic experience as well. Another one is actually the dynamic pricing. What we are seeing when we travel by air, we know that in the same row, we can see that different people have paid different amount for the ticket, the seat. So how this is happening system, the software what the airlines are using, all the airlines are using the software. The software frequently undertake the forecasting based on the doing and changing the prices very quite often. Revenue management system is behind it, and yield management system is playing the part of it, and that is why during the hype or the peak demand times we are seeing high price, and on off peak times and other off times and all, we will be having lesser this thing. Even on a single day, if you are sitting for booking the ticket in the morning, the price may be one, in the afternoon it may be different, and the evenings may be different. And this is being done by, it's not done manually, but it is done by the software. Another significant change what is happening in the international air transportation is actually there is a kind of hybridization in airline business models are happening. This hybridization model is even evident in India. Nowadays, we are not in a position to understand whether a particular airline is a low-cost carrier or a full-service carrier. That kind of change is happening. For example, Air India Express, we know some of us might have traveled by Air India Express. In Air India Express, they provide food free, of course, as part of the ticket. So, but as far as an LCC, low-cost carrier is concerned, it is not sad. So that kind of change is happening in the case of airline business models. Hybridization is happening too much. And as far as typically a low-cost carrier will not be doing all these things where they go for low fare. But sometimes even we see, even the low-cost carriers are having high fares. For example, if you sit for a ticket of Air Arabia, after some time you will see the price of that Air Arabia. If 10 people are booking at a time, its price may be more than that of a full service carrier. So that much of changes are happening. So complete distinguishing a particular airline, whether it is a low cost carrier or a full service carrier, it is going to be difficult. So some of the full service low cost carriers are becoming full service carrier with providing in the sense they may be giving kind of low fare tickets as well. Another phenomenon is actually from since deregulation that happened in started in America in 1978, then onwards, that process has been continuing. Privatization has increased, liberalization has increased. Even airports are getting privatized. We know the latest history of Thiruvananthapuram Airport, which is going to be privatized. So this privatization phenomenon is happening world over. But as far as airports are concerned, privatization is not that very profitable, and countries are not going for a lot of privatization. But airlines are completely liberalized, and the significant change what we are feeling, experiencing is oligopoly is happening instead of monopoly. Once upon a time, it was monopoly. The flag carriers of the country was having the dominance in the market. In America, American Airlines had, and in India, Air India had, with the support of Indian Airlines and all. But nowadays, things are not different, not the same. And in India itself, plenty of airlines are there, almost up to 15. Of those 15, maybe 10 will be very strong, and these 10, for example, in America, we know that Delta, United Airlines, and American Airlines, they are dominating. So it will be suffocating the other small airlines and all. That is happening in America. What is the small airlines that they cannot survive except Southwest Airlines, and they had to finally get merged or taken over by another airline. And United and American Airlines and Delta have become huge airlines by the consolidation process, either merger or takeovers. This consolidation is happening, and now I'm coming to the point that now we are having one of the worst hit, unprecedented, catastrophic, what we call it as crisis that never occurred in the history, in the recent history. And this much of magnitude of issues are going to be there. The kind of impacts will be so severe. So we can expect a lot of consolidation that will be happening in the future as well. immediately, we don't know what is the kind of impact that will happen, because that assessment, because the still crisis is continuing. Usually all the crises in the air transportation tourism are short-lived, but this is going to be another, maybe it may be taking, if the vaccines are there and other kind of things, or medicine or something else is coming up, till that that will persist for some other times to get back to the normalcy itself. It will take some time, and we will not know how much of consolidation will take place, how much of mergers are going to take place, how many airlines are going to be shut down, and these kind of things are going to be seen only. Nobody is having a complete, it is not going to have a complete prediction possible at this point of time. So with this brief introduction, this is the dynamism we are seeing. This is the issue we are facing currently. I would like to hand over this mic to my own student, and who is a very senior trainer, who is having a history of almost 15 years in the training of airports, in order to have a very elaborate discussion on the trends in the sorry, not the trends alone. He'll be talking more onto the post-COVID scenario in the air transport sector. He's a well-versed person in this one. He has already written training materials for IATA, and he's a partner in writing training materials for IATA from Singapore and all. So all this kind of dynamism is there from, and he's joining with me in writing my latest book that has been already been signed, the agreement with Routledge, and we together are writing the book, and we are expecting to write another 2 books from India as well, as a continuation of that. With this humble introduction, I would like to welcome Mr. Ajay Krishna. Ajay, welcome to this. Have a nice time.
Thank you, Dr. Dilip, and the exciting session, we are moving to that. And welcome, Mr. Rajesh Kurian, for an interesting talk.
Thank you, Mr. Sanup. Dilip sir, thank you very much for your wonderful introduction. Good morning to everyone. It's been my immense pleasure to be in part of this particular session, a seminar session with you all. And I'm glad and honored to be a part of alumni of Pazhassiraja College. 2 years before, I have been there in Pazhassiraja College with you all, have a session with an airport introductory session. My respect towards Dr. Anil Kumar, Father Verghese, Father George, Shelji sir, Dilip sir, Mr. Sanup, and from IT, Litin and Jidin. They are the one who coordinated with me early in the morning to have this session to happen without any hassle. And I also know that some of my friends, I mean to say my classmates are also joined with this session, and I'm very happy for that. The issue, or I can say the hassle here is I cannot interact well with the people around you, around me. I would like to go rather interactive session, a question and answer session, rather than giving one-way communication. But the technology is there with us. We have many more opportunities to have this one. And I hope I am clearly audible to everyone.
Yes.
Okay. So it will build my confidence to go ahead with my presentation. Dilip sir introduced me, and everyone introduced me about my career graph, and I've been in the aviation industry since 17 years. I've completed my MTM. I'm still remembering my old good days with Pazhassiraja College. That made me, the teachers over there, the lecturers, especially Manchula ma'am, Robinette sir, and Dilip sir, who are there, the first warriors in Pazhassiraja College, who have helped us a lot to build our career. Especially, I was a person who was very much passionate about aviation. And Mr. Robinette sir, I'm still remembering him. He has the one who has been ignited my mind with aviation, because he was the one who introduced the IATA certificate courses in front of us, and that made me to think about this particular profession rather than settling down in tourism itself. I have been taken a different way of different a different profession, that is the aviation profession. I have started my career with Air India back in 2003 as a normal check-in agent in Cochin International Airport. Then I moved to, after 5 years, I moved to Qatar. I was with Qatar Airways almost 5 years. I was their operational staff, and I worked in different departments, and my passion was towards the training. And whenever I'm meeting my friends back in India, and they're telling that, why don't you come to the training field or come to the teaching field? So I told them I'm striving hard towards for this. And I got a certification from IATA, especially in teaching. I got 2 certifications from IATA. I've completed Train the Trainer and Instructional Techniques course from IATA. And that made me to a licensed a trainer. And I'm actively doing training sessions for especially the aircraft weight and balance, and also with the departure control systems, DCS, especially the Amadeus Altia and SITA DCS. So at present, I'm working with National Aviation Services as their senior trainer, and National Aviation Services is looking after the ground handling functions of airlines. We have many customer airlines we are handling, and we are doing the ground handling functions. Our headquarters is in Kuwait. I'm working in the HQ of National Aviation Services. And my career graph is until now, I still remember, I still indebted to the teachers who have ignited my mind, and I always cherish with that. In a motivational point of view, I would like to say I born and brought up in a very, very common agricultural family where I don't have any background to speak in English or something like that. I purely studied in Malayalam medium. But as I reached to a level of degree, that changed my life, and that made me to think in a different way, think out of the box, and I myself have changed. And my teachers also helped me a lot. The decision was mine, and I chose this aviation career, and I'm traveling in different countries to have the sessions with my operations knowledge, to share my operations knowledge. And now in this COVID-19 scenario, I'm actively involving in the development and designing of online courses for my company. That is the most powerful tool nowadays to speak to the audience. And I'm very glad to tell you that I'm extremely happy with my work. And even though in this challenges situation, we all are in a challenging situation, and I'm damn sure that we will overcome this, and I will do my level best to this aviation sector and keep going. I believe that's all about myself, and I have to go ahead with my subject allotted with me. Now time is 9:15 in Kuwait. That is 2.5 hours behind of Indian Standard Time. I think my allotted time is 45 minutes, and I already grabbed 10 minutes. Before starting this session, Trends in Aviation Post-COVID Perspective, I would like to tell you, if you have any questions, we can put it in a parking lot, or you can put your comments in the chat box, or any questions. If you have anything, you can put it in the chat box, and later Mr. Stanup can help me to read out those questions so that I can answer you, or I will give you my email ID so that you can contact me personally if you need. any guidance, any information you required, additional information you required, you can ping me at any time. Yes, everybody knows that COVID changed our life, our thought process, and also we are going through a very challenging situation. I would like to pay homage to the people who died or the people who lost their life because of this COVID-19. And also, I would like to say something about the people who lost their jobs in the industry. Many people have lost their jobs. Even my friends, many of my friends also lost their jobs. And 50% in my company, to be specifically in my company, there is a 50% reduction in the workforce. That is challenging, but fortunately, by the grace of God, I am not in that. My job is still secure, and that I didn't make any miracles on it, but that is only the God's grace. And everybody knows that every day the cases are increasing, thousands of people are dying, and the viruses are nearby to us. It is in our near home. So the only solution is we have to abide the rules and guidelines of the authorities. So I think now we can jump over to the subject, and I would like to present a presentation in PowerPoint, which includes a lots of significant videos, significant slides related to the aviation, the trends, the impact, etc., etc. So I would like to take just 1 minute to check the presentation is working good, and then I will be back to you. Okay, anybody from IT? I'm getting a response that host disabled participant screen sharing. Can you do something on it?
Yeah, it is ready. Just try again, sir.
Yeah, I can. Thank you. I hope my screen, you can see my screen.
Yes, visible. Yeah, clear.
Visible. Okay, so let me disable the annotation for others, and let me share the computer sound. Yeah, good to go, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, my allotted topic is trends in aviation, a post-COVID perspective. As we all know, as our beloved source have been explained how COVID-19 has been had a significant dramatic tragical issues with the aviation and the tourism. And I'm going to present in perspective of an aviation professional. So the topics I'm going to handle are impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the aviation industry. We are going to discuss a little bit more about the impact of COVID-19 in the aviation industry and the role of aviation professionals during COVID-19. So what is our role? What the airlines are doing now? What the community, the aviation community is doing to contain these issues, to contain the virus, etc. And lastly, the best practices. What should be the practices across the globe, the aviation professionals to follow to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. So these three are the subjects I'm going to talk about. So the duration is 45 minutes. Let me go to the first part of it, that is impact of COVID-19 pandemic in the aviation industry. I would like to display a video with regard to IATA, which has been published by IATA. A thought-provoking video with regard to the aviation resurrection. Let's see that. I hope my audio, the audio in the video and the video is playing correctly.
Yeah, audible, right.
All are fine?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going ahead. The impact on the global business. Yes, apart from tourism industry, every industry has been affected because of COVID-19. COVID-19 has a dramatic impact on the world markets as it crashed most of the stock markets. Everybody knows about it. Workforce impact. Yes, that is the main tragic issue happened in the world because of this COVID-19. The workforce impact. Employees are asked to work from home. Yes. But from March onwards, in most of the aviation professionals and across the globe, or not only the aviation professionals, but also the other professions also, most of them are working from home. And if I'm talking about myself, I was working from my home since June until June. And from June onwards, the office have been opened and only 20% of the workforce have been allowed to enter to the office. So there was a rotation. In a week, I have to go at least 1 or 2 days to the office, and the office have sent the vehicle to me, and I can board only to the allocated vehicle to the office, and I can commute and to the office and then come back to my accommodation. So that was the working style during that time. Now, by August 30, I think the Kuwait government is going to take off all the curfews, and then we are going to start a normal life after 6 months. Spike in video conferencing usage. Yes, of course. Right now we are using the same. For this seminar, we are using video conferencing, and many applications across the globe is pioneering those. We are using Zoom. At the office, I'm using Teams. In a different platform, we are using Skype for business. All those kind of video conferencing spikes has been increased, and it has been spiked. And everyone is accustomed to do that. Yes, budget cuts for companies, organizations, and governments. Budget cuts that includes the employee layoff. That is the most catastrophic issue here. Many people had been affected because of this. One of my friend who is working with Emirates Airline in Dubai, he was saying that out of 2,500 pilots, they have laid off almost 1,200 pilots. That means they cut half of the strength of the pilots. See, think about the people who lost their jobs, and the situation is going worse than any time in the world. Less employees and workers required. Yes, the business is not there, so the employees not required. The workers are not required. They are forcefully given with the unpaid leave, and they are going back to their home country. And there are people who has gone to their home country and who couldn't be able to come back to the country. Visa expiries, all those kind of stuffs are going on, and confusions are around the globe, especially in the Middle East. Airlines report 96% drop in air travel as the pandemic continues. Yes, everyone knows that the travel industry has been affected very badly, and even the domestic sectors, international sectors, even though the flights are operating, the load factor is less than 10%. And people are very, very afraid to travel because of the quarantine. Quarantine in the sense, if I'm traveling from Kuwait, if I reach India, I have to be in my home quarantine or institutional quarantine for 14 days, minimum 14 days. So my 14 days of leave have been gone. Then while I'm coming back to Kuwait again, I have to go for PCR test, and then I have to go for again here quarantine. That is not home quarantine, institutional quarantine. I have to go, I have to pay for that. All those kind of confusions, people won't travel. So the quarantine becomes an irony for people. It is very difficult for people to go ahead with it. Air passenger volume has been plunged into a stream. You can see that source from IATA Economics, IATA Monthly Statistics. You can see a graph over here. In 2016, it reached out to 550 billion per month. So revenue passenger per kilometer, RPK, refers to the revenue passenger kilometers, was almost 550 in 2016. 2019, if it is seasonally adjusted, it is also coming under almost 700 billion per month, has been abruptly gone down to 50 billion, and it reached up to 4%, 5%. And the trend is towards, if you see a spike over here, a trend is in June, slightly it is increasing. If you see here, you can see it is slightly increasing. And the airline started now, say for example, in Kuwait, I can see that until June 31st, there was no much, until June 30, there was no much traffic in Kuwait International Airport. The airport was closed for many days. And all of a sudden, the repatriation flights have been started to take the nationals to the country, and then the other nationalities to their country, and they cannot able to come back. All those kind of stuff were there. Only very little flights were there, but now the passenger flights slowly started, but with less volume, less passengers on board. Impact on the aviation industry. Airline industry is the one of the hard-hit industries during this pandemic, as per IATA. Airline operations shut down. Thousands of people are laid off or paid unpaid leave. The situation is too pathetic. The industry would need up to $200 billion in emergency support to sustain this business, as per IATA sources. Every country's local authorities are assisting the airlines across the globe. minus 48% 2020 passenger demand compared to 2019. Why the demand is less? Because of these restrictions. Even though the skies are open after COVID-19, people are hesitant to travel because of these quarantine issues, border closures, visa intricacies, etc., etc. So they are very keen to stay on their home rather than traveling. Governments around the world have introduced below restrictions to contain the virus. So what all are the restrictions? The border closures, curfews. In Kuwait, curfew was there, 24 hours curfew was there during the initial phase of Corona. So we couldn't be able to come out of our house. So we were calling someone to give, there was a hotline to call for to get the essentials for my home. So we were calling them and they are getting the essentials to my home. We were not able to go out of the home during that time. But later on the curfews have been slashed down, and then only 12 hours, then after 9 hours, now it is again continuing from night 9 until morning 5 o'clock. Airport closures, yeah, international borders have been closed, especially the airport borders. Airport has been closed, and also the movement of the people was zero, but there were airports who were handled with the essentials. The cargo flights were operating with the medical supplies and all. Quarantines, that is the worst part of quarantine was the worst part of COVID-19, the after effect of COVID-19. People are hesitant to travel because of this issue. Cities are locked down. Many cities are locked down. We cannot enter into the city. You cannot come out of the city, all those kind of stuff. Everybody knows about it. And even our place is also going through this miserable condition. The travel industry has been greatly affected by airline cutting flights. Yeah. Cancellation of business trips and tourists canceling holidays. Yeah, we all are in the industry of travel and tourism, and we all know how badly affected, how COVID has been affected our industry very badly, and we don't know when it is going to have an end. But let's be positive, and all these situations will change. Countries are continuing to implement additional health measures at the airports and seaports, border crossings to contain the virus. So temperature checks prior to, what all are those conditions? Temperature checks prior to boarding planes and upon landing. Stringent questions about itineraries. People are asked for stringent questions, and they are getting stranded at the airport for a long hours to have the tests. Allow additional time to complete check-in formalities. So for example, if a passenger is traveling from some place to another place, the normal check-in time has been increased drastically because he has to go towards some kind of questioning. He has to fill up some declarations, and then only the authority will allow him to travel, go through the stringent medical checkups. Yeah. Also the medical declarations. Now, let's go to the next subject with regard to the role of aviation professionals during COVID-19. Yes, I'm talking this particular topic in point of view of a person who is actively involved in the ground handling business. Active ground handling business in the sense, we are handling many airlines, European carriers, Middle East, American carriers, all those kind of airlines we are handling. And am I audible to everyone?
Yeah, it's audible.
Yes,
Clear.
audible, sir.
Voice is clear. Yeah.
Voice is clear. Okay, fine.
You have to mute somebody has opened the mute. Please mute it. Unmute.
Probably, no problem. I thought that there are some questions. So, I think the questions can be raised in the Q&A session at the end. Okay, so let me go through. So, the role of aviation professionals in mitigating the impact. IATA and its members continue to support governments in their efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19. As we all know, WHO, IATA, ICAO, ILO, IMF, all these institutions, all these organizations across the globe are very keen in assisting the industries across the globe. And IATA, for us, as a ground handler, we are directly dependent to IATA, and we are directly following the IATA regulations and rules with regard to this, and they are providing information on time, and we are following the same. Since the crisis began, air cargo has been a vital partner in the transportation. Yes, air cargo that never stopped. Every country is shipping the cargo through air or by ship or any other transport mode, which include food supplies, medicines and medical supplies, personal protective equipment, which includes a lot of surgical PPEs, medical equipments, pharmaceuticals, etc. Many airlines, passenger airlines, that is a change occurred during this time. Many passenger airlines transformed their aircraft into cargo flights. So seats were used to carry cargo. You know, instead of passengers, cargo was settled on the seats and secured while assisting the passengers or assisting the people across the globe to support with the medical equipment and supplies. Emirates and Qatar Airways was the key airlines who were having the wide-bodied aircrafts. With those wide-bodied aircrafts, they transported tons of cargo, not only using the lobe compartment of the aircraft, but also the passenger cabin. And it is amazing that I have been on one flight to see how they have been done these arrangements. I was invited by one of my colleague in Kuwait International Airport. So I went there and I saw personally that how they have been stacked the cargo on the passenger seats to support. And also that is another point of view, the revenue point of view. The airline is making revenue out of it. If passenger is not there, they can use their seats in order to ship the cargo. I am belonging to company National Aviation Services. National Aviation Services is the fastest growing aviation services provider in emerging market. From our initial operations in Kuwait, 2003, it's been years now. It's almost 17 years now, NAS have been set up. We transformed into a leading airport service provider with the presence across regions that includes Middle East, headquartered in Kuwait. We have branches in Abu Dhabi. We have branches in India also. Goa we are operating. In Ahmedabad we are operating. In Nagpur we are operating. We have stations over there, and you can see these all are our network. So what we did during this time, so you can see a video about the aviation professionalism shown by National Aviation Services in Kuwait International Airport during this pandemic.
As you get ready to travel, rest assured you are in safe hands.
At NAS, we are well prepared for the new normal of travel. As passengers get ready to resume flying, we were making sure they were well protected every step of the way.
NAS has adopted revised operating procedures, trained employees, and continues to raise awareness. Our online application allows you to minimize time at the airport by pre-booking services ahead of time. Right from the check-in until boarding, we are implementing measures to keep you safe. All our employees are equipped with masks, gloves, and other personal protective equipment, or PPE. Sanitizers have been placed all over the airport for easy access. posters and stickers serve as continued reminders of precautionary and safety measures. Even our wheelchairs are only used once after each round of sanitization. In our lounges, we are focused on being as contactless as possible. We also reduced our lounge capacity to just 30% and follow all social distancing measures. All the required precautionary measures are also implemented across our lounges. We have introduced health and wellness coordinators to keep a check on all the precautionary measures and processes, guide passengers on safety and health requirements, respond to queries, and address their concerns on anything they may consider unhygienic. Our meet and assist staff escort passengers wearing masks, gloves, and face shields. All of this is just what meets the eye. There are also several processes going on in the background to ensure the highest levels of safety. This includes staff equipped with PPE and sanitizers, awareness posters, as well as cleaning and sanitation of luggage and equipment. All our passenger buses are regularly sanitized, and we also ensure deep cleaning and sanitization of airline cabins. Right from the beginning of this pandemic, we have trained our staff on safety and precautionary measures, and we keep reminding them regularly. We even train our employees on the right way to dispose PPE.
For all travelers, it's just important to keep in mind that traveling is like any other activity they are currently doing.
Stay safe and follow all the sanitization measures. We will take care of the rest.
So that was a very wonderful video, has been featured in all the social media networks very recently by my company. The necessary steps which have been taken in Kuwait International Airport to receive the passengers, and the passengers have to have a mentality, have to have a confidence in their travel. It means we are following the regulations, regulatory requirements and all. Okay, we are moving ahead with the best practices in aviation to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. What all are the best practices we can go ahead with? New airline safety measures against COVID-19 include extra cabin cleaning procedures. Yes, the aircraft cabin has to be clean in coordination with ICAO guidelines, in conjunction with the state regulatory requirements. The aircrafts have to be sterilized. The airplane has to be disinfected properly. Most of the aircrafts, almost all aircrafts, even if it is a Boeing or an Airbus, the aircrafts are fitted with HEPA filters. The HEPA filters are the high filtering systems, and also aircraft with high fogging. We will see some videos regarding this later, and you could be able to understand much better than this. Social distancing markings around the public area. So all those are the measures which have been taken in the airport across the globe. Health and safety practices for customers and employees. While we are at work, we have to be very clear about the health and safety practices, and That includes extra cabin cleaning procedures, that is airplane disinfection, aircraft fogging, sterilization, and also packaged meals. Inside the aircraft, the crew are not provided with the a la carte. They are providing with packaged meals and no printed reading materials in order to avoid the transmission. The in-flight magazines is no more available on board nowadays. Check-in with social distancing, protective check-in barriers. You know, the customer service have been changed. The principles of customer service have been changed drastically. Before, you have to smile towards the passenger, you have to talk to the face of the passenger, you have to lean towards the passenger. All these are the principles of customer service. Now, everything has been changed. You cannot see the smile of a person because he's already with the masks. So people are accustomed to these kind of changes. So recommendations for crew and ground staff. So what all are the recommendations for crew and the ground staff during this pandemic? Take precautionary measures to reduce the possibility of infection. So what could be the precautionary measures? Avoid rush hours, use private transport when possible to minimize contact with others. It lies in a person. So he has to take care of himself, the safety of himself and safety of the people around him. Minimize time spent in public areas, apply social distancing. We have to minimize the spend. If in case of exigency, we can go to a place, but please don't stand there for a prolonged time. And while we are waiting there, apply the social distancing. Wash hands frequently, avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth and with uncleaned hands. All these information you already know, no need of explanation. If you develop a fever, cough, or have difficulty breathing, immediately isolate yourself and report the situation to your employer or medical center. So isolation is everybody's responsibility if you're having a symptoms of COVID-19. If you have COVID-19 symptoms during a flight, very importantly, discontinue your duties as soon as it is safe. Inform other crew members and follow the required measures. If you are an employee, while you're working on board as a cabin crew or a pilot, he has to discontinue the duties. As prescribed in the International Civil Aviation Organization, ICAO SAPS, the Standards and Operating Procedures, says that some universal precaution kits should be there in the aircraft. That includes face and eye mask, separate goggles and medical mask or combined face shield for the crew members must be there on board. This is ICAO regulation. Germicidal disinfectants, wipes for surface cleaning, dry powder that can convert small liquid spills into a sterile granulated gel, full-length long-sleeved gown to be used, disposable gloves to be used, protective aprons to be used on board, and biohazard disposable waste bag. Yes, the disposal of this waste is also another important thing. So how you're going to dispose it? So it should be disposed in a properly well-defined manner. So let's see a very, very interesting video on Emirates aircraft interior, how they are going to clean the aircraft inside. that was a wonderful video on an Airbus A380 of Emirates aircraft. Coming to the standard precautions at workplace, this is actually mandated by ICAO, so it is better to read it out. As per ICAO, if a traveler develops symptoms of acute respiratory infection or shows signs or symptoms compatible with communicable diseases, including COVID-19 as documented in the Aircraft General Declaration, the IHR Annex 8, ICAO Annex 9, Appendix 1, efforts should be made to minimize contact of passengers and cabin crew with the ill person. So it is a mandate, it's a rule, it's a law that every airline has to make necessary measures to minimize the contact of passengers and cabin crew. The term minimize is very relevant here because the passenger have to be on board, the crew has to be on board, but they have to minimize the contacts. The ground handling recommendations include if a passenger reports with specific symptoms of fever, gives a history of feeling feverish, or has an actual measured temperature of 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius or higher that has persisted for more than 48 hours. So if the passenger at any contact point at the check-in, at the boarding gate, or at the aircraft, if he have any history of all these symptoms, fever and one of the following, persistent cough, difficulty breathing, appears obviously unwell. In this case, there is no other alternative, contact the manager or the ground-based medical service center. So this is a necessary instruction to every employees who are working in every contact point that is like check-in, boarding, and at the aircraft side. So if a passenger with communicable disease is reported on board, what are the cabin crew's precautionary measures? So this is also as per WHO and as per IATA. If a person is a communicable disease is suspected when a traveler, passenger, or a crew member has a fever, temperature 38 degrees Celsius or greater. So if the passenger is having a constant headache, confusion of recent onset, bruising or bleeding without previous injury, skin rash, persistent cough, impaired breathing, persistent diarrhea, persistent vomiting, all these kind of symptoms, if a passenger is having on board, the crew has to go for an emergency and they have to be, they have to notify the captain. And also if there is an emergency, there should be an emergency procedure have to be taken place, and the aircraft has to be landed on emergency, and also related to the severity of the situation. Depends, that is a crew member or the captain has his own procedures for emergency. As per WHO, crew and ground handling personnel should be further reminded about measures to prevent transmission of COVID-19, including social distancing of 2 meters minimum, hand hygiene have to be maintained, respiratory etiquette, while you are coughing or sneezing, cover your cough or sneeze. Then environmental cleaning, the cleaning is vital. Then coming to waste disposal, another important aspect. Use of masks, very important. In public places, every country is mandating to use masks correctly and avoid contact with infected person. So avoid maximum. The healthcare workers cannot avoid these kind of situations, but they have to use their PPEs accordingly. But for us, we can avoid contact, so we have to take care of ourselves and the community around us. And if we are having any symptoms of COVID, seek medical advice. That is the only possible way. Do not. So that was about the health and safety practices for customers and team. And we are jumping to what do you do if a passenger appears unwell? Suddenly a passenger at your check-in desk or at the aircraft or at the boarding gate appears unwell. What to do? If there is any doubt regarding the health of the passenger, the agent has to inform the supervisor, and then they have to go as per these procedures. The passenger has to be denied boarding. He is no more going on board. He has to be denied until a medical examination and clearance is performed by physician, and it is the customer airline's decision to accept or refuse the passenger. What do you do if a passenger feels unwell? Be polite and stay calm, take the required precautions, call your supervisor. Supervisors agree with your concerns. Yes, of course, he has to agree with our concerns. If there is any doubt, yes, contact the medical department, and then medical department isn't available, deny the boarding. Ask the passenger to obtain medical clearance as per the airline's policy and involve customer compliance section. So these all are the procedures a person have to taken care of if a passenger appears unwell at any contact point. Let's see a video of Qatar Airways. Yes, I'm very glad to tell you that I was worked with Qatar Airways before, so I know about the product and I know about the rules and regulations of the company, and it's my pleasure to introduce this video to you of the interiors of the aircraft. It's an Airbus A350 aircraft. The cabin cleaning process is on. Sorry. That was a wonderful video on the cabin cleaning crew who are working on board to keep the aircraft safe for the passengers. That was also streamed in all the social websites, especially in YouTube. So at the airport, regular sanitation of high contact surfaces are required. That includes check-in counters, elevators, stairs, railings, trays, the trolleys, handles, and the baggage belts. So these are the guidelines provided by ICAO, and every airports have to abide these instructions, and they have to take care of it. So check-in measures. Every airport employees have to wear the PPEs. That includes a face shield or face mask, and also the gloves, extra safety visor, and then mask and gloves. And stand-up displays instruction signs to be there at the airport. And boarding pace, the normal boarding speed has to be reduced, and there should be a social distancing in between. And the boarding pass at the gate, airport gate, has to be scanned by the passenger, because the boarding pass is a highly transmission. It's a solution for it's a source of transmission for the COVID-19, a boarding pass, because the passenger is handling this boarding pass every time. So it has to be scanned by the passengers. And the bus transfers also to be very careful. From a terminal to the aircraft, the transfers are using by the buses. If they are using the buses, they have to be very careful, and buses have to be disinfected. In-flight measures, many airlines blocking of all middle seats on wide body aircrafts and aisle seats on narrow body aircrafts. All food items individually wrapped and served on board. In-flight shopping has been suspended. Yes, everybody knows that the duty-free was on board. Almost all the airlines are using getting revenue out of it now. They have stopped it because it's a source of infection, the high contact area. Onboard service have been reduced in all cabins in order to limit possible contact by hand, and it has been changed to the packaged meals. So let's see an Etihad video. Before that, I would like to inform you, I will take another 10 more minutes to maximum, because it's already 45 minutes. I'm crossed already 45 minutes. I'm taking the permission from everyone to take have 10 more minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, fine, sir. Go ahead.
Fine.
All Etihad aircraft are cleaned on arrival at every destination. Once the aircraft is made available for cleaning, we clean all areas within the cabin, which includes sidewall panels, seating area, lavatories, galleys, crew rest, flight deck. The product we use is both a cleaner and disinfectant. It's approved by the Department of Health and is 99.99% effective on all bacteria, germs and viruses. This includes COVID-19. The Bacabam product is effective for up to 10 days. Once the aircraft has been cleaned, both in the cabin and in the cargo holds, the coaches that are transferred, the passengers that were on board, will be taken to an area where they are disinfected by my staff. Cabin air quality within the cabin is maintained through the HEPA filtration system. The HEPA filters work 99.97% effectiveness. On average, the air within the cabin is replaced every 3 minutes by fresh air from outside.
You may wonder how an aircraft, inside the aircraft, how we are going to keep the social distancing. But here you can see that the aircraft is the most safest mode of transport where the HEPA filters are fitted on board, and every 3 minutes the air has been changing and taking the air outside from the aircraft. So it's the most safest mode of transportation. And also you can see that many of the airlines have blocked their middle seats, but practically it is impossible if the demand is going to be higher. In flight measures, airlines have imposed the below in-flight restrictions: no pillows, blankets. Yes, during the travel for a long haul journey, the airlines are provided with these kind of amenities like pillows, blankets, all those kind of stuff. And no more. I mean, passengers have to carry by themselves, and no refreshing towels. disposable, either disposable or cloth, they are not providing. No collection to the disposable headphones. Many of the full service carriers are having the in-flight entertainment system, IFE systems on board, and they are not provided with the collection of headphones. That means IFE systems will not work in certain sectors and in particularly in certain classes. Sanitizing soaps are available in the washrooms. Yeah, that's also another precaution. So when it comes to an airline of Delta, let's see how Delta is handling this. Fine. I have now video on Delta. We will go to towards the end of this particular slideshow. The crisis is beginning. The crisis is in process and not in the beginning stage. It's in the worst stage now, and also we don't know when it will be get contained. The disease is spreading all across the globe, and people are living with the virus nowadays, and hope is in the air. We have to have our full belief in the aviation industry and the tourism industry. This pandemic will definitely will come to an end. The only thing is we have to keep the confidence level of the travelers, the tourists, the people who are going around after vacation, the going for vacation, all those kind of stuff has to be reinstated, and the status quo has to be maintained. And let's see this motivational. With that, we are coming an end to this particular session, and it's my pleasure to once again thank Dr. Dilip. He is one of the well-visionary of mine, and he is giving such an opportunity to talk to you. Without you, sir, this will not be happen. And also to my to alumni. I will always keep the cherished memory of Pazhassiraja. Always I will carry those memories, and it's a great time with you all. If any queries, any informations you needed, we can go for a question and answer session, and also you can see my email address down. You can note it down, and we will go for Q&A session now. So thank you very much, and it's my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ajish, for an interesting talk. Now we move to interaction session. If anyone has any questions, I'm sure Mr. Ajish would be pleased to answer.
Mr. Sanup, give me 30 seconds.
Before going into the question and answer session, I am going to leave this this presentation. So I'm just taking out the presentation more.
Okay, Mr. Sanup, give me 30 seconds time to make a remark on this program. Okay, Sanup, can you hear me?
Sanup, sir,
you are not audible.
Two questions are there already in the. Two questions are there already in the chat box. Can you hear? Second, principal would like to have a sum up session for him actually. So please give him 30 seconds.
Right. Okay. Now, those who want to talk can unmute and talking directly, or if you want to leave some questions in the chat box, that also can be done.
Okay. Let me interfere here. I can see the chat box. The one question: passengers keep social distancing inside the flight. That was the question. I don't know who has posed it, but it's a very good question.
That is me, Binoy.
Binoy T.
Dr. Binoy.
Dr.
Yeah.
Binoy.
Yeah, your classmate.
I have posed two questions. Sir, I have posed two questions.
Yeah.
One is the aircraft and airport can be completely sanitized, and even the symptomatic patients can be restricted by the airlines. Okay, what about the asymptomatic patients? What kind of precautions the airlines can take whenever an asymptomatic patient travel inside the flight?
Okay, Binoy,
one second, Binoy sir, your name, shown as Lenovo. Can you change?
Lenovo, okay, my mobile, sorry,
it's
maybe
possible
my
to change.
laptop.
It's very easy.
Oh, sure, sir, yeah.
Binoy, it's my pleasure to see you in this platform. I'm very, very delighted to see you. Your question: do the passengers keep social distancing inside the flight? Actually, it's practically impossible, to be very honest. If the flight load is very less, say for example, for a capacity of 180 passengers on board, if the load is less by 100, airlines may able to do that. But think about the business point of view. If an aircraft is booked completely, the airlines don't have a choice to give the social distancing inside the aircraft. IATA says no need of social distancing on. It is the responsibility of the aviation authorities, the airlines, the passenger, to make sure that he doesn't have this disease before. Nowadays, the passenger has to come with the PCR certificate at the counters. So that is the answer for your question. I hope.
Sir. Yeah, thank you, Ajay sir. One more question I have. One more doubt actually. So we can sanitize the aircraft and even airport, as well as we can restrict the symptomatic patients for traveling.
Yeah.
So now we have seen that many of the patients are asymptomatic in nature. So how we would handle with these asymptomatic patients? And there is a great possibility that within the cabin they can spread the disease.
Okay, Binoy, answer to your question. Every airline is asking for a PCR test certificate before the passenger travel. So I think PCR test certificate, this asymptomatic. Also, asymptomatic passengers also will be listed out as the virus holders, right? So issues over there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Then one more doubt I have. Nowadays, because of the very less passenger load and high cost of operation in the airlines, how do they manage the pricing? What kind of pricing strategy they may follow? Because you see, most of this pricing of airlines are concerned is done via GDS. So do they make any changes in the GDS pattern, or what kind of pricing strategy they can follow? And whether IATA and ICAO give permission to make their own pricing strategy?
Let me tell you with an example with this. Before, 1 year before, the fare from Kuwait to Cochin was very, very cheap. You know, if I'm traveling on Air India Express flight, it is hardly around 40 or 50 KD. That means almost 50 into 200, almost 12,000 rupees. Now it has been raised up to 120 KD. That means almost 30,000, 32,000. So there is a price hike already there. The demand is the demand for the air travel, even though it is less, airlines are taking the pricing strategy of higher fares. There is no option for lower fares. They are selling all their seats in the higher fares, and IATA doesn't have any issue on that, because every airline has their own procedure for pricing, but that has to be mandated by IATA. Within the framework of IATA, they can sell the seats in a higher price. And also, as you said, the demand is very low, but in some airlines, the demand is very high nowadays, especially for repatriation flights. If you are seeing a flight from Kuwait to Cochin on a repatriation basis, every passengers are paying almost 30,000 rupees for a one-way journey. From I'm talking about Kuwait to Cochin or a Dubai to Cochin flight, with an example. Also, if you are talking about the mission from our country, India is having the Vande Bharat mission. Even you can see on that the price is too high, and that is not controllable now. And we cannot blame the airline also. They have to have their operational costs. So I cannot give a correct answer for this, but I can tell you that at this time, the prices are very high.
Thank you, Ajay sir. It was a very wonderful session, sir. Very much thought-provoking, and it was very much updated. So yep. I congratulate you for your great presentation, and I'm so happy that I have seen you after a long time, and I've seen as a great trainer, international trainer. So it is a wonderful achievement. It's a great thing. It is a great motivation for every participants, especially students, participants, and even the fraternity of this Pazhassiraja College. So they would be highly motivated by seeing you and your hard work, and your reach to the epitome of this airline sector. So thank you very much, Ajay sir. Thank you very much. I'm very happy today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Let me go through other questions in the chat box. I don't think any more questions are there. Can anyone help me on this?
No more questions, Mr. Rajesh.
Okay, I have a comment, remark on this program. Thank you, Mr. Rajesh, for conducting this this webinar. It's very brilliant, effective, informative, and you have explained the various aspects, the impact, the various measures taken by the airline sector, all the aspects related to this COVID-19 pandemic. How it is impacting the aviation sector, and also what are the measures taken or strategies taken adopted by the airlines to overcome this or to mitigate the evil effects. Your presentation was brilliant. Once again, I thank you for making this presentation wonderful. And also I congratulate the whole department, also mainly, especially Dr. Dilip for finding such a wonderful resource person for this webinar, and also all the faculty members of the department for conducting this nice program. We will go ahead with so many programs, and I wish all success to the department for carrying out more programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Sir. It was the Principal Sir, in fact, he talked.
Mr. Rajesh, there is one more question there in the box. From Mr. Jasin, he is our student. He was our student.
Yeah, before going to the question, I would like to thank Anil Kumar sir. I know you personally because I met you once with you, I think 2 years before. It's my pleasure, sir. And I'm proud to be part of that.
Okay, I do remember. Okay.
Yes, sir. So the question is, career plans, especially in tourism field, being badly hit due to COVID-19. As per a research report, 42% students are reconsidering their career choices. What advice would you give to students who rethink in this way? Let me ask you one question. Why you are rethinking? This COVID pandemic will go away. and you have to keep the spark in your mind. It will not go further. It will go maximum of 2 or 3 years. And if another virus coming in that area, in that arena, all the industries will be affected. So I don't want to demotivate you guys. Be stick on with your industry. Be stick on with tourism. Be stick on with travel. I mean, you will have a bright future. Don't think for reconsidering the career choices. That career also will have been in trouble, right? Then why you are doing that? I hope, I mean, I justified myself on this question.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add to that is actually, what we need to understand is COVID cannot eliminate the whole population from the world. COVID can do maximum is maybe 2 to 3% of the population, if that is the worst case. I mean, things will remain, people will remain, and they have to come back. Everything will be coming back to normalcy. It may be continuing for the threat may be continuing for maybe another 6 months to 1 year maximum in this way. But things have to come back. Maybe some kind of things will be changing. For example, business travel may be having some kind of change, because many people nowadays are more acquainted with the kind of information technology used for business meetings and all. So that kind of travel may be a little bit affected. The percentage may come down, but on the other hand, people are eagerly waiting to come out to have a travel. So leisure travel will be continuing anyway. So come back to the normalcy may take 2-3 years of time, and the growth rate to come back to the growth rate of 4% or more, it may take another 2-3 years, but it will come back, because the whole globe has seen similar kind of incidents in the past, not in the immediate recent history. And so that is a history what tells. I mean, there were world wars, there were pandemics in the history. Even some of the pandemics continued for 5 to 6 years, and then some of the pandemics like plague that was there for almost a century. So it has to come back.
Definitely, I truly agree with you, sir. It has to come back, and there are many histories in our in this. I mean, we have to consider about, as Dilip sir said, changed. People mindset will change immediately after that. Even now in Kuwait, I can say that initial fear has been gone off. Everybody is going out of the dwelling and going to the office, even though the virus is there. So people automatically accustomed to have these issues. They will live with the virus. The mortality rate is very low as well in this case. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely correct, sir. Because you see that why people are not traveling nowadays, that is only because of the restrictions by the government and the international restrictions on air travel and other international transportations. Otherwise, once it is open, 100% people involved in tour as well as international travel. The only restriction, only they are they are unable to travel. That's the only problem. I have seen many people. I have in contact with a few people who are interested, but only what they're telling is they are unable to travel. That is the reason. Even you see, nowadays people are not afraid of COVID. Here you see, I've seen in this Karnataka and this region, everything is normalized. People are moving without any fear within the country, within the state, but they're unable to go interstate or international travel. I'm sure that by the end of this year, we may expect a vaccine, and we will come out of the fear of COVID. And just like this, the Spanish flu that happened in 1918, so their mortality rate was very high. But still, you can see there was a tremendous growth of tourism as well as international travel. So it has taken only 3 to 4, 5 years time to revive and come back. So anyway, absolutely there is no problem. No need of worry. Every students, you see, students of tourism and hospitality, don't worry about the future. 100%, and very great future is before you. Don't worry, 100%.
So expecting more questions from student side, please shoot your questions. Come on. So you can unmute and ask instead of typing in the box. Dilip sir, I hope the questions are
no
over.
more questions from the students.
Yeah. So, Shelji sir, can we conclude?
Definitely, sir.
Okay, Sanu sir, please conclude it. And one or two, three words I should say about the presentation. It was so lively. We didn't expect this much. In fact, with having so much of video inside. So definitely, otherwise, having a presentation for 2-3 hours, I mean, more than 1 hour would be, a little bit boring. But because of the videos and the way you present, your dedication and all that made people to sit such long, and most of the participants are still there. So we should thank from all of our side. No, anyway, the formal one will be done by Sanu sir, but still, we have our own other teachers like Divya teacher from our department, Sabina teacher, and Shaijiman sir. They're also there in the department. They're also part of this one, and we should thank especially to Jibin from Mr. Jibin from Mass Communication Department and Lithin from Mass Communication Department. They are behind this, in fact, from the technology side. So, Sanu sir, please go ahead for
Yes, Dilip sir rightly said. We didn't even check the time. We have allotted 45 minutes, but it exceeded. It was has taken 30 minutes more. Still, we didn't check the time. It was so interesting. Hope all the questions are over. So we move to the winding up the session. So first of all, thank you so much, our chief guest and resource person, Mr. Ajish Kurian. You are really enlightened with your knowledge and presence. Thank you so much for your interesting talk. And thanks once again from the bottom of our heart for the excellent session and interesting talk. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Anil Kumar, Principal, Convener, Professor Shelji Matthew, Vice Principal, Dr. Dilip, CEO Father Verghese Kalamavdi, Ambassador Father Alamutil, teacher who participated from our college as well as outside the college, and students who were actively participated, and the IT support given by Mr. Jibin and team. Thank you so much, everyone. With the permission of convener, we are pleased to declare that the program is over. Thank you once again to each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you all of the team members, especially special thanks to Mr. Ajish.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here I declare that the session is over.
Yeah, the link is already given in the chat box.
Link is there in the chat box. Please.
Those who want the certificate can collect it from there. Yeah, it will automatically, you will get the certificate. Okay, thank you everybody once again. Bye. See you.
Thank you everyone.
We will continue with the sessions in the afternoon. Sorry, not the afternoon. I am talking about after Onam. We'll be having a series of similar kind of webinars. Maybe 5 to 6 will be there.
Yes.
Thank you everybody again. Thank you for this. Bye.
Thank you everybody. Goodbye from Kuwait. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
started. We finished. നല്ല presentation.